Hello everyone, welcome to the daily editorial analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy, 1st February 2025. Displayed here are the list of articles that we will be discussing today. The first article, a pragmatic picture. The article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu. In this topic, we will be discussing the basic concerns highlighted by the economic survey of 2024-2025, and we will also see certain recommendations that can be used for writing a mains answer regarding this topic. And the second article, we should deep sea. The article is taken from the newspaper Indian Express, which is talking about the present economic and technological challenges faced by India. And this article is also arguing that the present position of India in the global scenario is often overrated using certain selected data. We will be discussing that too. And in this topic, we will also see certain recommendations that can be used to make India a superpower in the global scenario. So without much delay, let's get into the discussion. A pragmatic picture. The article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu, which is talking about certain challenges highlighted in the economic survey 2024-2025. So in this topic, we will be discussing what are those challenges, and in the second part of this discussion, we will be discussing certain recommendations that can be used for mains answer writing. So first major challenge addressed by the economic survey was the economic slowdown. So in the post-pandemic time, even though India made a significant progress in the economy, recently there is a fall of domestic demand and private investment. For example, the public capital expenditure grew at the rate of 16% between 2019 and 24, while the private investment was standing at 6%. So what will be the potential impact of this? This will bring more burden on the government, and we know that government alone cannot spend this much amount, or government alone cannot make this much investment, which will make a future of uncertainty. And the next major challenge addressed by the economic survey was the global uncertainty. We know that when Trump administration came to power, they introduced a lot of policies, including mass deportation, and this ultimately resulted into an economic conflict between the United States and the Colombian government. We did an article on that too. And so these kind of policies and other protectionist policies and tax reforms in critical nations, including Australia, European Union, United States, and Britain, can bring a risk to the export sectors in India. And especially in the recent times, the textile industry and the electronic export sector is facing a tough competition from nations like Vietnam and Bangladesh. And like I mentioned, the tax reforms in the global level can also bring a challenge to the Indian exporters. And the next major challenge addressed in the article in the economic survey was the underperforming private investment. So just now I mentioned, so between 2019 and 24, the private capital expenditure was growing at the rate of 6% only, while the public capital expenditure grew at the rate of 16%. So despite we have taken a lot of measures, including the reduction of tax, 22% tax was reduced, corporate tax was reduced in the year 2018. And for new manufacturing entities, the tax reduction was 15%, but still we couldn't boost the private investment as we expected. And the next major challenge was the regulatory overreach and the trust deficit between the government and the business entities. This is mainly, of course, due to the excessive regulations, and other lengthy procedures related to approval and related to the returns of fund and all. So if you, for example, if you take the example before 1990s, before the liberalization period, if you want to start a small scale business itself, you have to travel every day to the government offices. You have to walk through at least 8 or 10 departments, and you have to go through n stages of formalities to start a business. But that is not the case now. But even though we have we have to further deregulate or relax our regulations to encourage the private investments. And the next major challenge addressed in the economic survey was the unrealistic growth aspirations. So the economic survey itself projected that between 2000, in the financial year 2025-26, the expected GDP growth will be between 6.3% to 6.8%. But at the same time, the economic survey also mentioned that if you want to achieve the developed nation or Vikasit Bharat by 2047, then we should have at least a sustained growth of GDP at the rate of 8%. So which will bring more strain on the government and policymakers, and which is also very difficult to achieve. And coming to the recommendations, what can be given while writing the mains answer to boost our economy. The first is focusing more on domestic growth. That means we have to reduce the dependence on export, and we have to focus on focus on boosting that domestic demand. So that includes investing in the healthcare infrastructure, education, and other mega infrastructure projects. We have to strengthen certain programs like Making India, and this will, if you can boost the domestic economy, then if you can diversify the opportunities in the domestic economy, then it will automatically open new opportunities in the international market. So in that way we can eventually save the export sector itself. And the next is simplifying regulations. That means framing a policy based on minimum necessary and maximum feasible regulation. For example, if you want to start a business, then you have to show n number of documents, and you have to go through n number of stages of verification. You have to go through at least 8 or 10 departments every day. So if you can reduce all these, then we can provide an ease of doing business ambience in India. And that includes reducing bureaucratic hurdles and predicting, framing a predictable policy. For example, the investors are always, they have a speculative behavior. That means they will always expect something in the future. They will always expect a future, a good profit in the future. So if we have an uncertainty related to the tax policy, this will create a kind of doubt, in the investors, and will eventually lead to disencouraging the investors from investing in projects, including infrastructure and renewable energy projects and all. And revamping the labor codes. So 4 labor codes are there. For example, industrial relation code, social security code, and occupational and health code. So we have to revive all these labor codes. It is very important to protect the welfare of the working people as well. So we can achieve an economic growth and development without compromising the welfare of the working people. And the next major step can be ease of doing business, developing an ease of doing business. So this includes empowering the MSMEs, that is micro, small, and medium enterprises. We have to remove certain barriers which prevents them from accessing, market, technology and credit facility, and creating a single window system. Just now I mentioned, if you want to start a small scale business before the liberalization period, then you have to walk through n number of verification stages. So if we have a single window system for clearance and approval and other procedures, then it will create an ease of doing business automatically. And the next is building trust. So trust between the government and the business entities is very important. So government has to frame transparent policies, and consistent implementation of these policies are very important. And the next, for example, simplifying the GST returns, etc. So once when GST was introduced, there were a lot of complexities related to the GST return. So if we can simplify these procedures, then it will eventually create an ease of doing business ambience in India. And next is encouraging the private investment and the small firms. For example, providing targeted incentives for private infrastructure, technology, and innovations. This can be done through expanding the production linked incentive scheme to new opportunities like electric vehicle in sector or renewable energy sector. So this will be a win-win situation for both the investors, as well as for the government, as well as for the people. So if we can expand the production linked incentives to electric vehicles and renewable energy, we can achieve the sustainable development, and we can also make profit. So the business people will also be happy, the people will also be happy, ultimately the government can balance both. And the next is coming to the small firms, supporting the MSMEs through providing credit, technology, and market access. We can also implement certain schemes like emergency credit line guarantee scheme. This scheme was actually launched in the year 2020 to provide financial security to the small enterprises which got affected in the COVID-19 pandemic. And this program came to an end in the year 2023. But if we can continue this program, this will provide a kind of security to the small scale businesses, which will boost their confidence as well. So coming to the human capital and addressing global challenges. So enhancing human capital is very important, especially in the case of India. We have a huge population of youth. So investing in the education, skill development will provide more opportunities for them. It will resolve certain problems, including poverty, income instability, and unemployment. So for that, we can integrate a certain programs like Skill India and Digital India. So this will provide new opportunities for the youth population to bring their innovative ideas and to use their potential. And if we can link these programs with industries, then it will provide also other benefits like employment and all. And the next is addressing global challenges. That includes strengthening the trade agreements with the other countries and diversifying the export market. So to diversify the export market, we have to address the domestic problems. For example, if you take the export market trend of India, we are more focusing on service sector, like we are we are good in exporting pharmaceutical products, textiles, electronics and all. But if we can diversify the economic sector, for example, if we can boost the agriculture sector, if we can boost the manufacturing sector, then it will provide new opportunities for the Indian exporters in the foreign markets. And the next is pursuing the free trade agreements. That means with the European Union and Australia. This will provide this will open new markets in European Union and Australia. And the next recommendation is infrastructure development. So infrastructure development is very important to enhance the human capital, reducing disparities and addressing problems like unemployment and poverty and all. So this infrastructure development can be achieved through strengthening the public-private partnership in the infrastructure development, improving connectivity and logistics. We know that logistics is very important. Logistics will boost the development in agriculture, manufacturing and service sector as well. So if we can enhance the efficiency of the logistics, then it will bring a good result. And connectivity is very important, because connectivity is important for both the social development and economic development. And for example, we have certain programs like National Infrastructure Pipeline. This project was launched in the year 2019, which is focusing on boosting the investment in the infrastructure field. And the next we have a certain infrastructure projects like Gati Shakti and all, which is focusing on connectivity. So this will address the problem of income or regional disparities within the India and between the states as well. So in this topic we discussed what are the challenges highlighted in the Economic Survey 2024-25. So based on our discussion, try to answer this mains practice question. The question is, the Economic Survey has called for a refresh of ease of doing business framework with a focus on empowering smaller firms and minimizing regulatory overreach. Critically analyze the role of regulatory simplification in fostering economic growth. So the question is, the critically analyze the role of regulatory simplification in fostering economic. So how does the simplification of regulatory framework will lead to economic growth? We can encourage the MSMEs, which will provide income, employment. So these are the benefits. And next we can utilize more, we can enhance the productivity. We can utilize the the productivity of the people. So through that we can enhance the human capital in India. And you can diversify the domestic market, which will eventually open up new opportunities in the international market. So these are the benefits if you can simplify the regulatory framework related to business. But at the same time, it also has certain challenges. For example, if you go for a blind deregulation, then it will eventually support the big markets, big people only in the, for example, corporate entities will get more benefits. So this will create a kind of imbalance in the market. So in the first part you can talk about the benefits of simplification of this regulatory framework, and the second part you can address the challenges. So based on our discussion, try to answer the main question and post it in the comment section. We will review and we will reply for your answer. Now it's time to move to the next article. We should deep seek. The article is taken from the newspaper Indian Express, which is talking about certain economic and technological challenges faced by India. And this article is also arguing that the current position of India in the global scenario is often overstated using selected statistical data. So in this topic, we will be discussing what are those economic and technological challenges that we are facing now. And in the second part of this topic, we will be discussing certain recommendations to overcome this challenge and to enhance India's position in the global competition. So first major challenge is the economic challenges. This includes the slow growth. So we know that the Economic Survey 2025 predicts a growth rate between 6.3% to 6.8%, which is relatively low comparing to the last 4 years. And the high inflation. So India reduced the retail inflation from 5.3% to 4.9% comparing with the previous financial year, but we also have certain other problems, including high unemployment rate. And the Economic Survey has highlighted this as a concern and recommended for a job creation environment, and that's why it is supporting the development of an ease of doing business ambience in India. And it is going for recommended a deregulation policy from the government. According to the Economic Survey, the current regulatory framework is hindering formalization, productivity and innovation in India. And the next major concern highlighted in the article is the investment decline. So the weak consumption and investment, especially from the private sector. So a few days back itself, we discussed an article saying that the private consumption, especially in the urban area, fell, and at the same time the investment If you take the public capital expenditure between 2019 and 2024, it is standing at the growth rate of 16%, while the private investment is at just 6%. So eventually this burden will come to the government. Government will take the responsibility to fill the gap, which will create further uncertainty in the future. And coming to the technological challenges in India, first major technological challenge is the digital divide, the unequal access to digital technology. So if you take the rural and urban area, the rural area may not have that much accessibility to the digital technology. And if you take the gender wise itself, you can see the men are more accessible to the digital technology comparing with the the women. So during the time of COVID itself, that the vaccination registration was through the digital platform only. So later there was a report saying that the registration from the rural area was much less, and at the same time the registration from the the female population was also very less. So this indicates how the digital divide is persisting between the regions and even between the genders. And the next is the digital infrastructure. We know that the digital infrastructure is very important for all type of providing all type of services these days. So for that we need a scalable and a secured and inclusive infrastructure to address the demand of the people. And the next is the cyber security. This is another major technological challenges that we are facing now. So increased risk of digital transaction. So we know that since 2015 we have accelerated our digital policies, and this also accelerated on other side, this also accelerated the threats associated with the digital development. And we have IT Act 2000 to address the data privacy. And recently the government introduced DPDP Act, Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023, and you can go through the important provisions of this act. It will be very useful in your mains answer writing. And the next is addressing the needs of the modern warfare. For that, the government has launched Aditi 2.0, that is async development in innovative technology. So this has launched with a focus on developing artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and communication, which is very essential for modern warfare. And the next is adoption of emerging technologies, including blockchain technology and artificial intelligence, which is very crucial for problem solving, to address the health demand of the people, to provide an enhanced social service. And coming to the second part, the recommendations that can be given to enhance India's position in the global scenario. For that, we need a structural reform according to the Economic Survey 2025-2026. According to the Economic Survey 2024-2025, we need a structural reforms to enhance India's position in the global scenario, and that too across different sectors. First one, we are going to see the labor market. So the Economic Survey indicated the importance of grassroots reforms and deregulation, because it is the key to develop an ease of doing ambience in India. So for that, first we are going to address the problems in the labor market. So how we can solve the problems in the labor market? Simplifying the labor codes. So I already said there are 4 important labor codes: industrial relation codes, social security code, health and occupation codes, and code on wages. So we can protect the welfare of the labor. At the same time, we can ensure the economic growth and development. And flexible contracts, that means this will helpful in adjusting the workforce in India based on the demand in the market. And the next is skill development. So we can train the youth population based on their their interest, and we can align the skill programming or the vocation training with the industries which will resolve the problems like unemployment, and this will provide stable income for the youth people. And this will also address certain issues like the skill mismatch. Sometimes the people may have the skill, but the skill that will not be in demand in the market. So this type of problems can be addressed if we can integrate the skill programs with the industry. And the next is social security. That means expanding the benefit to the informal sector as well. We know that nearly 75% to 80% of the Indian workforce are working in the unorganized sector. So we have to take care of their social security as well. For that, we have launched e-Shram portal portal. So if you register in this e-Shram portal, you are entitled to pension and other benefits from the government. And the next is encouraging the female participation. Female participation is very important to ensure the social development, at the same time ensuring the economic growth as well. And coming to the land, so in the case of land, we need a streamlined acquisition. That means a simplified procedures to acquire land for infrastructure development. And the next is transparent record. For example, we can go for digitalization. So this will resolve problems associated with the land disputes. And the next is efficient land use or optimal utilization of land, which will reduce the wastage and will pave way for sustainable development. And the zoning reforms, this will ensure both the this will accommodate the needs of both the commercial and industrial economic activities. And strengthening the public private partnerships, this is very important for land development and mega infrastructure projects. And coming to the financial sector, first major step can be bank consolidation. That means we can consolidate the small financial entities into a big financial institution. So that's why we can, through that we can diversify the source of funding. So if we have a big institution, we can deepen the credit facility. And the next is addressing the problems or non-performing assets resolution. So non-performing asset are the biggest challenges to banking, and recently RBI said that there is a significant reduction in the non-performing assets. So this will help the banks to enhance their credit providing facility. At the same time, it will also help the bank to maintain their balance sheet. And the next is financial inclusion. So we have something called Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, which is looking for financial inclusion, which will provide credit facility and other financial services to the people. And the next is regulatory simplification. It is very important for encouraging the private investments and entrepreneurs in different levels. And coming to the trade, first one is quality standards. We have to align with the global benchmark. So we know that during the time of COVID, when India developed vaccines, these vaccines faced resistance in developed nations, including European Union, Britain, and the USA. So once you can bring a global standards, then you can bring you can gain the trust and confidence from other nations, which will provide opportunities for the exporters, not only in the medicine sector, in different sectors. And the next is tariff rationalization. This will enhance the competitiveness of the Indian products. And the next one is free trade agreements. So signing new agreements with the European Union, Australia, Britain, USA, or these kind of developed nations will open new opportunities for Indian exporters in the new markets. And the next is export incentives, which will helpful in earning high foreign exchange. And the next is trade facilitation, or we can say that simplified custom procedures. This will save time. So this will also encourage the investors and the traders to trade with other nations and within the nation. And coming to the innovation and technology, first one is the research and development investment. So both public and private investment are very important to conduct research, especially in the complex fields like quantum computing, AI and all. Next one is IPR protection, that is intellectual property rights protection. So this will encourage the people with the to take next steps with the new innovative ideas. And the next is encouraging digital infrastructure, which is very important for high speed internet connection. If we have a high speed internet connection, the service sector can be boosted. And the next is startup ecosystem. That means we have to support the new startups with innovative ideas, with the credit facility and the proper access to the technology. And the next is technological transfer. So we have to sign the global frameworks with other countries to for technological transfer. For example, we have signed the ICET framework with the USA, which will provide opportunity for exchanging technology related to which is critical for the coming days. And we have also signed rare earth material mineral agreements with Japan, Australia and all. So if we can sign this kind of agreements with other nations, this will helpful in transferring technology. And we know that the technological transfer is also very important for energy security as well as achieving the economic growth. So in this topic, we discussed what are the two major challenges that India facing currently, and in the next topic we discussed what are the recommendations can be used for enhancing the India's position in the global competition. So based on our discussion, try to answer this mains practice question. The question is critically analyze the argument that India's global relevance is often overstated using internal propaganda. Discuss the economic and technological challenges that limits India's influence in global decision making. So the question is very simple. Discuss the economic and technological challenges that limit India from influencing in global decision making. So what are the economic challenges? Inflation, unemployment, lack of ease of doing business ambience. These are the major economic challenges we discussed. And coming to the technological challenges, we discussed the need for enhancing the defense sector. Then we discussed the needs for digital infrastructure, which is very essential to address the regional disparity within the state and the within regions. And then we discussed the digital divide, and these are the major technological challenges that we are facing now. And and in the second part, you can address certain recommendations that can be used to overcome these challenges as well. So based on our discussion, try to answer this mains practice question and post it in the comment section. We will review and we will reply for your answer. With this, we are coming to the conclusion for today's editorial analysis. If you like the video, hit the like button, give your feedbacks as comments, and share this content with your friends. And before leaving this channel, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time update from Shankar IAS Academy. Thank you. Have a nice day.